Welcome to Today the News on Vanguard Live. My name is Damlola Ogunshakin. Let's move straight to the front pages of the daily. I'm starting with Vanguard. Vanguard is leading with subsidy. New players will make petrol price come down. That's coming from KYARI. Says subsidy removal will aid competition, kill monopoly. Note, NNPCL cannot undo more than 30% of the market. Adds palliatives coming soon as Amnesty International warns against the increased poverty in Nigeria, wants federal government to mitigate effect of subsidy. You can see that story on page 5. And here we have a photo story showing President Bola Tinubu, National Secretary Advisor Major General Babagana Monguno, retired, Chief of Defense Staff General Lucky Rabo, Chief of Air Staff Air Marshal Oladayo Amau, Chief of Naval Staff Vice Admiral Awal Gambo, Chief of Army Staff Lieutenant General Farouk Yahaya, and Inspector General of Police Usman Baba Akali. That's during the first meeting of security chiefs with President Bola Ahmed Tinubu at the Presidential Villa, Abuja, yesterday. On page 27, crush oil thieves, other felons. Tinubu other security agencies says, I will change security architecture soon. Peter Enauer for burial June 7. You can see that on page 10. And on sport, AFCON qualifier Super Eagles to train in Lagos for Sierra Leone. Now on page 7, 1,872 killed, 714 abducted in Nigeria between January-April 2023. That's according to reports. Custom targets $200 billion in fresh PPP. That can be seen on page 9. Stories above on page 19. Independent marketers protest implementation of fuel price hike. I was forced to sign presidential poll results in Kogi. Articles witness tells cuts. We haven't devalued Naira. That's coming from CBN. Tinubu misinformed on 10th National Assembly leadership. That's according to SARS as President meets Lawan Gbajabia Mila. That can be seen on page 10. Presidential Tribunal Obi tenders result of 6 states, 115 local government area in evidence. That can be seen on page 9. And lastly, on Vanguard newspaper, cost of governance, we don't need Senate, House of Reps. That's coming from Shekaro. You can see that story on page 8 of the Vanguard newspaper. Away from that, we move to the Guardian newspaper. Guardian is leading with 11 years after occupied Nigeria, Tinubu tells painful path to economic rebirth. Big story on pages 4 and 5. Petrol subsidy remover. NLC debunks strike action. Unveils position today after consultations. That can be seen on page 6. Enugu court remands 52 pro-Biafra agitators in prison. Nigeria's business conditions. Confidence in economy level hits a 5-month high. Tinubu meets intelligence. Security chief gives mandate to tackle insecurity. That can be seen on page 6 of The Guardian. And the Punch newspaper is leading with Dangote, Port Harcourt refineries, others won't change fuel price. That's coming from NNPCL. Refineries production, input costs will raise the price to current level. That's coming from KYARI. NNPCL says 1.8 billion liters petrol available. Queues won't exceed Saturday. Reps demand relief, palliatives for Nigerians, want oil swap deal suspended. That can be seen on page 2. On pages 4 and 5, new tenants flee with neighbors' 2 children in Abuja. Operators kick as maritime workers short port Monday. Beavers manipulated in over 20 Kogi PUS. That's polling unit. That's coming from articles witness. That can be seen on page 16. Telcos issue banks disconnection notice. That can be seen on page 27. And lastly, on the Punch newspaper, EFCC grills Fayemi over alleged 4 billion naira money laundering. And that's on page 14. Lastly, let's move to the Nation. Nation is dealing with KYARI subsidy removed to stop Nigeria from bankruptcy. No payment by federal government since February. Government labor talks resume Sunday. That's on page 4. Why federal government workers' May salary is delayed. 90% broadband penetration in targets. That can be seen on page 7. Stories above. EFCC accuses Fayemi for allegedly laundering 4 billion naira. That can be seen on page 6. Tinubu orders centralized security coordination. Crackdown on oil thieves, President tells security chiefs. And lastly, on the Nation newspaper, obey APC zoning, non-serving senators tell Kalu and Yari. Lawan, what should guard process? That can be seen on page 5 of the Nation newspaper. And that's all we have on the front pages of the dailies this morning. Join us after the break as our correspondents will be joining us to talk about the stories. Welcome back. If you're just joining me, this is Today the News on Vanda Life. I'm Damilola Ogun Shaki. And the Group Chief Executive Officer of Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited, as NNPCL, KYARI, said yesterday that the present high cost of petrol will crash in no distant time, allaying the fears of Nigerians about the development. Now, joining us to give us more on that report is our correspondent, Omezia Ajayi. Hello, Omezia.
Good morning.
Good morning. Give us your report.
Okay. Well, yesterday the GMD CEO of NNPC Limited, KYARI, was everywhere. It was on television. It was at the APC National Secretariat, and he said virtually the same thing, that the price of the commodity of petrol will come down in the next 1 or 2 weeks in his words. That was his promise. Then the next one, he was looking at market dynamics. According to him, the more marketers you have, the more competition you have, the more likely it is that there will be competing prices. That will force prices to come down. So that was just his explanation. And he went on to say that before the end of the year, that one of the country's 4 refineries, moribund refineries, one of them will be revitalized, and next year another one will come on stream, and so on until the 4 of them are back on their feet, working. So we are expecting that perhaps in the next 1 or 2 weeks, or by next week, like you said, 1 week, we're expecting that the prices will have come down.
All right, Omezia, do you think if the country's refinery is working, do you think it will help reduce the price of petrol in the country?
Well, that argument has been made by some people in the industry that when the refineries are back on stream, that it will have to crash the price, because there will be no reason to be importing fuel, refined crude oil again. There's no reason to be taking them outside, taking crude oil outside and then refine them and then bring them in. So that it will help us to conserve foreign exchange, and that way the price, the petroleum pricing template will no longer be affected by the foreign exchange dynamics. So for me, it is elementary economics, and I want to align with those who feel that if we had our refineries before now, that the prices would have been this off, because it is commonsensical that if you take your product out to refine in these foreign countries, you require foreign exchange. And so if the price of the naira, if the value of the naira keeps going down and the value of the dollar keeps going higher, it therefore means that the cost of refining and then importing, back to the country, will definitely make the price of petrol to go up. So if we can have increase our local refining capacity, definitely I should think that it will also help to crash the retail price of petrol.
I thank you, Omezia, for that report.
Yeah.
President Bola Tinubu on Thursday told service chiefs and heads of security and intelligence agencies to crush anyone involved in oil theft, saying that his administration will not tolerate such menace. Now, to give us a report on that is our correspondent, John Bosco. Good morning, John Bosco.
Yeah, good morning for having me.
Yes, give us your report.
Yeah, yesterday, the amazing meeting Mr. President, was having with security chiefs. Since his inauguration meeting tonight, he has not met with them. Yesterday was the first meeting. They have to brief him on security situation in the country. So after the meeting, the National Security Advisor, Brigadier General Babagana Mungumu, had to brief the press. One of the things he said is that the president has directed them to crush all oil thieves. That he doesn't have the luxury of trying to wait for anything. That Nigeria should not be on her news. That other countries are progressive, then why should Nigeria be on her news? That anybody that tries to sabotage the country must be crushed. He also said that the president now advised all the different security formations that they should work in synergy, because before now, there used to be a kind of people working, in different directions, rivalry among them. But the Mr. President, now directed that there must be synergy among them. They share information together so that they will be able to curtail security or any insecurity anywhere in the country. Besides, the president also told them to come up with their blueprints, that he is ready, to tackle all the security challenges in the country. So all the different security heads should come up with, their blueprints so that we will now know how to handle, the myriad of security challenges in the country. Besides, he also told them that he's going to, rejig the security architecture of the country.
Okay, what was the reaction of the service chiefs, heads of security, and also intelligence agencies? What was their reaction?
Well, this is an instruction from the Commander-in-Chief of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. They have no other option but just to make sure that they double their efforts to ensure that the directives given to them by the president is implemented to the letter.
Thank you, John Bosco, for the report.
Thank you for having me.
Yes. Now let's end this on a lighter note with Mr. and Mrs. Mr. says, what do you mean by prices of commodities have gone up by 1,000% because of removal of petrol subsidy? 1,000%? Come on, do you think I don't read newspapers? And Mrs. replied, maybe you've been reading the entertainment pages only. Wow. That's a big one coming from Mrs. But of course, the prices of commodities have really increased in the market due to the increase of fuel price. So we also need our misters to support the Mrs. Or if possible, go to the market yourself to check the prices, but just be ready for another reaction from Mrs. if you decide to go to the market. Now, this is where we have to draw the curtain today. My name is Damnola Ogunshakin. Do well to like and follow us on all our social media platforms showing on your screen on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok. Our WhatsApp number is also displayed on your screen. Thank God it's Friday.